Alright, welcome back everyone. I think we're going to do something a little different at the start of this war. I'm going to do a small overview. I normally label overviews in my videos, to be fair, but they're usually quite short, and then I go straight into the first fight. Whereas this time I thought I'd take a little bit extra time to just talk about the season so far. So this is going to be the 9th war of the season, and we're up against DSVG. Now, this is a massive war for us. I mean, at this level, you could pretty much say that every war, but we've come off the back of 2 losses, which has put us 4-4 for the season coming into this. And realistically, we know we don't want too much pressure on ourselves going into the last 3 wars, so we needed to pick up a win. Seeing that we matched DSVG, we kind of found out before the war, as there are chats where some people look at war ratings, and once the matchup is done, they can kind of figure it out before the attack starts and it's confirmed. So we knew we'd be facing them. We know they've been absolutely awesome this season. They've had a few shakier wars where they've had 7 or 8 or so deaths, which still isn't bad at all, and that was their shakier wars. They've had some really clean 1-death wars. I think at one point they even had a war where they didn't die at all. So yeah, we knew we were in for a tough one, but last war, obviously, we were up against 4 Loki. We put up a great fight, both alliances, 6 deaths each ended, and we lost on the tiebreaker. So coming into this, we knew, as we know against most alliances, we can't win on that tiebreaker because, you know, we're quite some way off the pace in that sense, and we don't want to shake things up entirely by just trying to become really fast and sacrificing clean play in the process. The most important thing is to keep deaths down, and tiebreakers aren't going to be that frequent. But yeah, going into this war, the pressure and the stakes were high, and you'll see, for me in particular, and obviously with these being my fights, you're going to see my nerves reflected, and I'd say it's the same for the whole alliance. For me as well, there's a slight personal touch to this war, just because I do have a close friend who's officer in DSVG. He's just joined there. He goes by the name of Avah. He doesn't have a channel or anything, but he's a great player and great officer, really. He's great at planning. So he's just joined them there for his first season with them, and immediately they've shown their trust and made him officer. So he's in BG1, I'm in BG3, so we didn't directly face off, but we were talking pretty much throughout the war, getting little bits of information off each other about what's going on, who's been giving up the deaths, you know, all the gossip. And that was quite fun as well, just having that interaction going on in the background. But enough waffling. I think I will start getting through the fights, and then we'll see how this one goes. I will also add that coming up later after my fights, I've got 2 featured fights today from other members. So one is actually Stranz from my battle group. He has an incredible fight, which I'll talk through when I reach to it. And then a really quick fight, but from my friend Deja. Just thought it'd be funny to flick across to the opponent, have a fight from their alliance, and just, you know, wind him up through a YouTube video, you know. Got him on Telegram line, and I figured why not go through a third form of media to take the absolute mick out of him. So we'll see. I've only got, I think his fight lasted 30 seconds when we get to it, so I won't have long to wind him up, but we'll make it short and sweet. Alright, so as I said, this is War 9 of the season. This is against DSVG, and my first of, I think it's 5 fights, is Claire up against a dragonman. So he's got power focus 1, he's got strike counter fury, and he got brute force. So because of his power gain charges, power focus 1 doesn't actually slow his power very much after he reaches that first bar, which is something you'll see. He gets to it quite quickly, and then afterwards, if he gets a power charge, it will still tick him up quite fast if you're not quick enough. So originally the plan was parry, then do a medium to nullify. So parry will take away the power charge, and medium trigger his immunity and give me some power back. Then to do a heavy, again, the immunity will trigger and that will give me power. And then go medium, light to go into the poison phase. And by the end of that, I'd be quite close to a special to use it. So if you've been counting my combos, you'll see it didn't quite go to plan, because I just messed it up. The nerves were there early. And another thing this fight that kind of left me in a bit of a mental, puzzle was I'd got some advice from DLL to block his special 1. Now the reason for that is in his abilities, it says the first bit of contact from it, so that can be through the block as well, will remove a power charge, keep it there, remove power charge, and will place an ineptitude buff on you. So his power charge being removed gives you a little bit of power through MD, and obviously the ineptitude would just be free willpower healing. However, I had buff immunity on him for most of this fight, so when baiting all those special ones into the block, other than this one here, I wasn't getting any ineptitude for free willpower. And because I'd messed up my combos and given him Furies, I was just taking so much block damage from constantly blocking those, and for some reason I just couldn't remember the ability clearly enough to get it through my head, or just do the smarter thing and just give up on blocking those and just play it normally. I was getting enough power anyway. I wouldn't have needed the free healing if I didn't take so much brute force damage and block damage. But yeah, as you can see, Claire is just a great counter. We do get this fight down with a solo, and it's just going to waste a few potions. Now, funnily enough, Campo, upon seeing this fight, asked me if I was just doing it deliberately so I can start using Doom again. And well, if it works, then yeah, sure, we'll go with that. Second fight of the war, Cap Infinity War up against the Magneto. Now, this one I was really confident in. It'd been a while since I'd done it. Probably, I wouldn't have done it all this season, and possibly all last season. I think the last time might have been in the off season before that, so it would have been a long time. But I know what I'm doing. We're letting him hit our block so we can get the kinetic charge, and then that way we can punish his heavy despite his unstoppable. Now, of course, the stun window means that you want to play this stun immune, because even when that stun window comes down and you can technically stun him, this node also has one eye open, so you take damage back. Cap Infinity War's just got incredible block proficiency, so you have no worry. You can see I'm being extra safe. I'm just blocking those special ones. They're so easy to dex, but I was just like, you know what, don't take one to the face and then have some bleed damage tick away, and suddenly it becomes a bit more panicked. So I was like, just block it. This is the only fight we're using Cap Infinity War for, so who cares about the chip damage on block? He can handle it. And we're baiting those special ones. We don't want him to go to a special 2 because those can get scary. At the end there as well, I just took a few more blocks to make sure I was at 5 kinetic charges and get the most damage possible out of the special 3. I think I have an 8% science special booster on. Really wasn't needed, it's just I think I had some, either an overflow or I was close and I could see them in the loyalty store, so I figured why not just use one bit of extra damage. You just always want as much of a safety net as possible, isn't it? Especially in such a tight war. But yeah, as you can see, this is just such a clean fight for Cap Infinity War, and we get a second solo. Yeah, funny, just as I talked about getting that second solo, I did take a few hits to the face, but it's okay, we don't need Cap again. That was the first time bringing Cap to a war this season. Man, back in the day, I used to rock him to like every war. It was so much easier at a lower level with less specific planning, and he used to just wreck everything because he's just so all-rounded. But those days are gone, and he'll still always be a special champ for me, because he's just covers so much, and he was my first rank 5 5-star as well. He was just brilliant. I mean, look at that beard as well. I can always appreciate a good beard, so yeah. Moving on to the third fight is a korg. I'm going to take this for Claire. So I think this was actually the fight I was most worried about this war. Sometimes when I'm blocking, I'm so used to reparrying that I just reparry by mistake. And it's just, I was like, you just cannot do that and get stunned and beaten into on these. I do run max limber now, so that should help mitigate maybe if it did happen, but you cannot rely on that. Anyway, here we go straight into Hellfire because that's where most of Claire's damage is. And he does have empowered immunity along with that stun window node, so you do not want to end with mediums while you're in the bleed phase because that will just give him power. Unless of course he's maybe close to 2 bars and you want to give it to him. As you can see there, unblockable special 1 to the face, not fun. But for the most part it's just block, bait is heavy. If you can bait is heavy. There are a few times I just don't quite get it right and I dex like that and give him charges. Really good special 1 dex there, that really restores some confidence, and then it went straight away with that. But as you can see here, we get a nice special 2 intercept. It's a bit gimped on damage because he had his rock stacks up, but we get back into the rhythm of blocking, baiting his heavy and just punishing him like that. And you know, we know if we can work to one more special 2, we should be able to get him towards Assassin's range and finish the fight out. Managed to bait another special 2 here without having to go anywhere near in dex. And then get his rock stacks down, throw a special 2, and he's quite low. So we just finish it off and make it 3 solos. And I have 2 more fights this war, both mini bosses. So yeah. I'm going to be taking this Hulkbuster, Vigorous Assault, so when he gets to his final 15%, he's going to go unblockable unless you can get rid of his regen. And he's got Safeguard as well. So the idea with Claire is you can nullify his armors, which would be reducing your ability accuracy. And her Hellfire direct damage will bypass his Safeguard. So as you can see there, I chucked 1 potion in. And the reason I only did that was because I was going to chuck a combat regen boost from my overflow on. But then I saw my health and for some reason was like, oh, I need another. And did it and then was like, oh, you idiot. You were supposed to put the combat regen on. We're getting so many of those grey boosts. And I use Invuln most. I use advanced power here and there. But the regen ones, they just don't really get used as much. And I really should use them more because they're basically the equivalent of what, 1 or 2 free potions. But yeah, anyway. The potions are also being given to us for free at the moment, so you can't complain. But we get into Hellfire, and we just rinse and repeat really, keep his armors off, bait his special 1s. And this is a very straightforward solo, and small spoiler alert, we are going to reach the end of the fight and manage to get a full yellow bar. I think we take a parry right before, or rather we do a parry right before the end. So then I think I dance around for a tiny bit just to make sure I can get that full yellow finish. Just for the flex, but yeah. It doesn't put the fight at risk, so why not, eh? And that's the parry that I mentioned. We just wait a little bit and throw the special 1 to buy us the time to get the full yellow finish. Alright, the 5th and final one, so I waited for my mate Tarfrey to get, I think that's how you pronounce it, sorry if I got it wrong, to get a mole man mini boss down. He did really well there, got his solo and moved up for me. We had kind of planned it together so that I could get my tier 2 fights down and my mini bosses with one set of boosts, so I was just waiting for him to be ready as well, and we cleared it in unison, which is always nice when you can get those timings to line up. But yeah, Magneto versus Penny Parker, if you remember, I took this against 4 Loki in the last war. Easy solo, all the damage back I was taking was pretty much from the power burns, and a bit from brute force. So this one starts fine, as expected, just parry and heavy. Mags against metal opponents can bypass the limber, but not if you hold your heavy for that long. Like, should have dropped it straight away. Now, I don't know, I just started panicking for a second there, went in and got hit by heavy. Then, you know, we get the fight back again, and we're like, okay, lost a bit of unnecessary health there, but get your parries. Didn't get the parry there. Got this one. Suddenly just backed out of that one. I'm trying to bait the special one here as well. And brute force is now ticking away, and suddenly this fight is getting a lot scarier than it should be, as brute force is really ticking away. Her special one animation is pretty damn long as well. So if she doesn't throw it like almost immediately, you're going to lose a lot of health. And not only did she not throw it immediately, but I had to dance around it for a while, and I lost a lot of health. So we baited another one. We're going to go to bait one more here. Thankfully, we throw one more heavy. It keeps it under 2 bars, and then she just throws it straight away. We now heavy counter her special one. I am so proud that I remembered to do that in that panic there, because it just got me up to 20 prowess, and then I got to 22 with one more knockdown, or 2 more. And we dumped this on her, and we're like hoping it would finish, but as it started, I could tell it wasn't going to. So we wait on the bleeds. I had a feeling it should be at 2 bars of power as well. So I was immediately blocking, do not throw it, because through my block, it could have killed me. But yeah, we get the solo in the end, and it was a sketchy fight. My alliance mates haven't seen it yet, but we got the solo, and that's all that matters. Okay, so all the fights down. For me, this is just a quick screenshot to show what I could see right after finishing my fights. 6-5 lead. We're a bit behind on attacker kills and need to keep going clean. Oh man, this brought back memories of last war. Similar position, in fact, exact same 6-5 lead we had against 4 Loki. And that just brought back this feeling of deja vu. I was like, please, not again, man. Let's see this one out. And well, that's fine. We'll eventually find out how it does play out. But first, we've got Stranz's fight here against Doctor Strange, mini-boss. It was originally planned to send Reed here. I wonder who's going to do it with Reed. I think you can guess. But as you can see here, Stranz is up against it all. He's up against Doctor Strange. He's up against his wife, who clearly does not want him to focus, but he doesn't care. He knows he can fight through the messages. I could not do it. So fair play to him. If I had messages popping up, I'd screw up my fight, so I always have do not disturb on. But he actually doesn't even put the game music. He has his own music in the background, which I've had to mute for this, just because, I'll be honest, I don't really know how the copyrights and all work with YouTube, so I don't want to risk the video getting taken down or whatever, just because some Snoop Dogg's playing in the back. But yeah, as you can see, he's just so comfortable, and he makes it look so easy with Spider-Man 2099. And yeah, he just keeps his composure through those text messages. You know, keeps it going. And he's really limiting the power gain here in this fight. And that little interruption there was because, well, if your wife can't get through to you with texts, she's gonna call. So I think he was like, damn, let's get this fight done quick before the inevitable. But, you know, he did what we'd all do in that situation. He did the right thing. He rejected the call and finished the fight and got the solo. That is where your priorities are. But yeah, he is a solid player, and I loved watching this video, so I did ask for him to throw it in here, and he said I could, so that was that. So now the next fight is the one I mentioned by my mate Avah. It's a quick Warlock versus Emma fight. There is willpower on her, so that does help Warlock to melt it down. She's got power focus 2, aggression prowess, so you can see how that one can go so wrong. just take a specials to the face and it's gonna hurt. But he melts it. Fair play to him. It's nice to see him use someone other than Quake. Maybe DSVG, they're giving him some level of skill, but it's nice they could find a place for him after we rejected him, honestly. So yeah, I hope he doesn't let them down too many times. No, jokes aside, he's a great player, great officer as well, and they've been enjoying him, I'm sure. So we will now move on to the results. Right, yeah, so looking at the results now, we have, this is BG3, my BG's results. So proud of us for our second 0-death war of the season. We've had a few other low ones, but in terms of deaths, this was really, really solid from us. 1 death against 4 Loki last war, none against DSVG, 2 solid alliances with huge reputations. So very proud of our efforts. And then we have the overall results. We lost 6-7 on deaths. However, unfortunately, from that 6-5 lead we had, we did have a repeat. It was going well, we were getting towards the end, and then bang. 1 unfortunate death pulled it back to 6-all, and I was sent a screenshot actually of this death by my mate Avah, who was clearly watching along. There was, I don't even know, maybe 1 HP or something left. I haven't asked the guy, who died there, didn't want to bother him, make him feel worse. But it was like a trickle of health. It was a Hulk Buster on Rage. I don't know who he used. Looking at his champs, I imagine it was Hercules. But yeah, unfortunate. And from there, the pressure was just all back on us because we knew we were going to lose on time. So if they didn't die, that was it. But of course, we had to just focus on ourselves. We had to nail our fights, and we did for the most part. I think we were up to about 147, 148 attacker kills while it was still 6-all. But they closed out all their fights. They got their solos, and we knew we'd lost. And then on the final 2 fights left on the map for, I think, BG2, there was a death there, an unfortunate one to one of the mini-bosses. But at that point, of course, we'd already lost, and we're going to lose on another tiebreaker, which sucks. Does it make me feel slightly better that it wasn't on a tiebreak and it was by 1 death instead? In some ways, yes, but also no, because obviously every attack bonus counts at this level, so it is what it is. We shouldn't really panic too much. There were some conversations in the main chat about our fight duration, how it's generally against top alliances, it's been no real match. But honestly, this is only our second tiebreaker, so it's not that common, and it's quite unfortunate that we had 2 in the first place and 2 in a row. We have just got to focus on keeping our deaths down. That's where we're strong, you know. We have great officers who plan out fights so carefully, so we have to stick to our strengths, keep our deaths down, and not try to massively change it up and suddenly go for really fast kills but then give up more deaths. Next season, it's certainly something we'll look at, getting fight duration down as best we can, but the main focus is just keep those deaths down, because as you saw, we died 7 times this war, and we as an alliance have said we want to aim for sub 5 every war. So until we are consistently hitting sub 5, the fight duration shouldn't be of concern. But yeah, you could go on forever thinking about what ifs, but the important thing for us now is we're now 4-5 for the season. We've lost 1 more than we've won, and I think, I didn't look at the leaderboards, but we were only just in Masters at the end of the last one, so we have probably dropped out. I would assume we're still in tier 1 because we had a really solid war rating. So now it's just a case of 3 wars to save the season and get Masters that we deserve so far. But of course, it all rides on those 3 wars. We'll need a minimum of 2 wins, we know that. And 2 wins and a loss could do it, but we don't want to leave it to chance, so we're going to have to gun for 3 wins. Boost big, work really hard with our officers, with every member, to just plan, be really confident in our fights. And our last few performances have been good, so if we keep it up, hopefully matchmaking can give us a little bit of an easier time. But yeah, you want Masters, you've got to earn it, so we'll keep fighting, we'll keep our heads up, and yeah, it's been a really fun alliance to be a part of. Sparked my interest in the game for sure, from a point of considering quitting altogether to now making a little YouTube channel for war videos and maybe more content in the future, we'll see. But yeah, that will be all for this video, I think, and yeah, just anxiously wait for those last 3 wars of the season where we can hopefully pick up 3 wins and secure Masters. But until those, I'll see you around. Take care.